And he punches me, and I go, kick me in the face. He's, no. Punches me in again. I go, damn it, kick me in the damn face. And finally, he just rears back, kicks me in the face. And I take a big bump, and then we set up for our go home, which got screwed up at the end. But because we were relying on someone to turn the lights off, and we had a big spot plan while the lights were off, and it didn't happen. But they turned the lights off too early. But yeah, he felt so bad. He checked on me like a few times, throughout the week. Because I had black eyes. It was bad. Split the nose and then just gusher. So
that's horrible.
Yeah, poor Charlie.
Jesus Christ. Is Charlie still wrestling, or did he retire?
No, actually, man, he had a Facebook, and then I didn't see any activity on it for the longest. And from what I can tell, he'd sent me a request from a new Facebook that he had made, and he's no longer living in Texas, so he's just focusing on his kiddos, and I think he's living in the Northeast somewhere at this point. So
wow,
yeah, good dude, man. Really good dude. One of my favorite people. Always, every time I saw him, he always asked me how I was doing. Make sure I was doing all right.
Right.
But super nice guy, man.
Yeah, and anybody that mentions Charlie Haas, they always say how he hits him really hard, whatever. He's real stiff in the ring, and he's just absolutely insane. But then they say how crazy. I don't know, I don't know if I'm using the right word. I guess strict and hard on people he is.
He is.
I just keep thinking of all the funny stuff he did on TV. He would come out every week as a different person, and that stuff was hilarious. And it's just hard to believe it's the same person.
Because Charlie's a very, very straightforward, pretty serious guy, unless you know him really well, and then he'll cut up and laugh with you. But that outward appearance, he's an asshole, And that was part of his gimmick there for a while when he was in Ring of Honor was 100% household. He had shirts and everything. So, but yeah, he one of my favorite people, man. I always look forward to working with him or being on shows with him. And we had booked him a couple times for 360 when Aaron and I were running things. He'd hit me up and say, "Hey man, you guys are running again?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, so let me know." And I'm sure enough, we had him on the next one, so always a pleasure. Super professional, but it was a wealth of knowledge when it came to wrestling, because he was so good. And I don't think he gets the credit that he really truly deserves in the wrestling industry. But Charlie was just an amazing talent and just a really good dude.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I've heard. I've heard he's really good people. Best of luck to him. I had no idea that he just packed up and moved up north. So it's news to me. Anyway, moving on.
His two kiddos, they're wrestling now. His
really?
Russ, yeah, Russ and Chuck are wrestling as far mat wrestling, amateur collegiate style.
Good, great way to start. That's awesome.
And they're really good. Just little machines. But they've got their dad coaching them, and Charlie's not a guy that takes things lightly. So he's pushing those kids, and he's doing the right thing with the little machines, man.
That's good.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've got nothing but great things to say about Charlie. I love him to death. That's
awesome. Tell me a little about DTF.
DTF, Down to Fight, is a group that was originally started in MPX, Metroplex Wrestling. Initially, the members included Scott McKenzie, Andy Dalton, and Machiko. And so they were a trio, and they just got kind of rolling there at MPX. And they started 2017, I think. And then I joined the group just a few months after them, a couple months after it started. And then we kind of just took over MPX basically. And it's a fun group to be a part of. Like, I've been in a couple of groups, the Sons of Texas with Moonshine and Andy and Claxton and Ken Johnson. But DTF was just fun, and because we got to be heels, and just assholes, and of course Machiko, she's my best friend. Like, she and I got real close is by being members of the same group, and love her to death, and so anytime we're all together, it's kind of the DTF thing or whatever. They'll always be associated with each other. Me, Andy Dalton, and Andy Mach, and Scott McKenzie. Unfortunately, Scott's no longer wrestling. He'd been doing it for 17 years, and injuries finally just kind of started piling up. And he met a lady, and now they got a kiddo together, and so he's pretty happy doing his regular thing. But we did do a reunion for DTF a while back. We broke the group up about a year ago, and then brought him back here recently, and it's kind of a special attraction type deal when it comes to DTF at this point. So fun group, but that's where I was a member of DTF when I won the Metroplex Wrestling Championship. Okay. And went on a almost a 5-month reign there at MPX, and that was that's running weekly, so that was a lot of matches and a lot of title defenses. And I want to say I'm still currently the longest reigning MPX champion at their new building, since they moved buildings.
Whoa. They moved buildings?
So before I started there, they were in a different building. They were part of the Metroflex gym. And I think the owners of the gym sold out or something like that, and they weren't going to run wrestling shows there anymore. So MPX was on a bit of a hiatus, and then they came back and they got this new building, and still in Bedford, and they've been there for 3 years now. So, currently in the new building, I am the longest reigning MPX champion. So,
wow. But that's the one where the ring is like on the wall, pretty much.
Yeah, so they got the big wall behind it where it says Metroplex Wrestling in the big block letters. Yeah. But it's the only show. Well, not the only show now, but for the longest, it was the only show in the DFW that ran weekly. And they've got their own network. It's at network at mpxwrestling.com. You paid $9.99 a month, and you get every show that's been filmed for the network on there. So it's weekly now. So every Friday before the next show, that MPX releases the previous week's episode.
Right.
And it's really cool, really fun to be a part of. They made a lot of changes to the building, from when they initially started. They've really kind of spruced things up a bit, up the production values. It's a really fun place to work, and really good crew. Stephen Kirby is really doesn't get enough credit. He's the promoter there, and been running MPX for the past 8 or 9 years now, and he's had his hand in training quite a few people who have made pretty good names for themselves on the independent wrestling scene. So folks like Jackson Stone was trained by Stephen Kirby, Tommy Becker and Ryan Remington. Ryan Remington just went down and wrestled for CMLL.
Right.
And that was the thing that Yum Yum put together with Nitro. And Ryan Remington was one of the guys that was selected, and he went down there for a couple weeks and wrestled down there. He just traveled over to Germany and trained there. So Jackson Stone, Ryan Remington, Tommy Becker. There's a couple of other ones that have started making name or started, getting booked in other places that Stephen Kirby has had a hand in training, and he runs training sessions 2 nights a week there at the venue. So Mondays and Wednesday nights, he's got the MPX Training Center open, and that's really cool, man. He's done a heck of a job and producing some good talent and producing some great shows,
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, maybe you were there the night that it happened, but like Tommy Dreamer put MPX over. I mean, it was like, this is a hotbed of wrestling, and it's good to see that weekly shows are back.
I was not there that night, but I have wrestled Tommy Dreamer at MPX.
Wow.
That was a couple years back. That was here a couple weeks back, that was his first time there since wrestling me. And that match is on the network somewhere, I think, the match with me and Tommy Dreamer.
Interesting. It's awesome. Who was your favorite kind of like former WWE or just legend that you've ever wrestled?
Oh man. That's a good question. So obviously, like Charlie, again, I got a little soft spot for Charlie. So I think I've wrestled him the most out of folks who were previously with WWE. So I got to work with Abyss, who didn't wrestle for WWE, but is now working there. Of course, he's a producer there now.
Of course.
Wrestled Abyss at MPX, and Tommy Dreamer. Man, let me see. I've wrestled several, man, honestly, but I think Charlie stands out the most because I've had the most encounters with him in the ring. But one of the coolest, I think, experiences was getting to meet Skandar Akbar for the first time.
Wow.
And we had brought him in at NSF, I think it was 2010.
Whoa.
Or 2009, I can't remember. It was about a year or so before he passed. But just getting to sit down and listen to him tell stories was just, you can't put a price on that, It was just an amazing experience getting to listen to him. And then he was there with Barbarian. Barbarian had wrestled Ryan Genesis that night. Barbarian was really cool too. But I think it's got to be Charlie, just because I've had the most experiences with him. But there's a plethora of guys that have just been really super cool, super nice. They didn't have to be, and they were. So, but I don't know. Charlie for sure, I think, stands out because of the experiences I've had with him.
Very, very nice. Yeah. I could definitely tell that. I mean, like we said earlier, that Charlie's like highly respected all over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he, it's with, I should think of the word here. It's all due respect, like he's earned every bit of it.
Right.
Because of what kind of athlete he is and how seriously he does take the business, take the business in it. So.
Right. Very nice. So as we narrow down to the end of this episode, I did want to ask you, as well as being a professional wrestler, on the side, you do graphic design, much like myself. I do. Tell me a little bit about your graphic design business.
It's BDM Designs. You can find that on Facebook, BDM Designs. There'll be a little logo that says BDM Designs, of course. Got started doing that really when I got into the wrestling business, right? So we were making flyers for the NSF shows, and a buddy of mine, he was kind of doing a lot of the graphic stuff and the video stuff, and he just didn't really have time to make flyers. So he was kind of like gave me a crash course in Photoshop, and I've been doing it ever since. And but I've got I make flyers for certain wrestling shows, and I'm open for business, of course. I design all my T-shirts and SuperTex logos and all that kind of stuff. So also have an online store where you can purchase those SuperTex T-shirts like you did, sir.
Yes, I did. Man,
SuperTexOnline.com.
I guess this is on topic as well. Yeah, like I was just scrolling through and I saw the shirt. And I was like, man, that shirt is awesome. And like all of your other SuperTex shirts, I don't know if all of them, but like they're all like dark colors. Like I really don't wear dark colors because I have a kitty cat and he's white and like his fur is on everything that's dark.
Oh man! And my favorite thing is dark colors, and I have cats, and it's just a never-ending battle against the cat hair.
There you go. I've just had to change what I wear